Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Witt. With me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
Excellent. How are you?
If I was any better, I would be you. But I'll tell you this, if you're on YouTube watching this pre-recorded bad boy, then you'll see another face on the screen. Once again, joining us, Cincinnati Reds beat writer for the Cincinnati Enquirer, USA Today, Mr. Bobby Nightengale Jr. How are you, sir?
Not as well as Adam, but doing well.
There you go. There you go. It's, hey, you know what? It's hard to be as good as Adam. I'll tell you that right now. Look at the hair he's got going on right now.
I know.
I was just thinking the only person that really should be wearing a hat on this podcast is the only one not wearing a hat. Hair is out of control.
You look slightly like Teen Wolf, or maybe not Teen Wolf, but Wolfman from the old black and white movies. You got a little Wolfman thing going right now.
Okay, I'll take that as an insult.
It's a compliment. It's a compliment. He was a good looking man. He just got real hairy.
All right, I'm gonna come haunt you tonight. I'm gonna steal your dog out of your backyard or something.
I'm down for it. Bobby, how are you, man? What do you got going on? Anything new going on besides these outside of the Red Legs realm of the world for you?
Really, today was my first off day in about a week or so, 2 weeks, and then don't know when the next one will be. So just try and take advantage and kind of relax as much as you can.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Did you get some sleep at least, or?
No, that's never on the schedule.
Never on the schedule. Of course not. Of course not. Well,
sleep when you're dead. That's what they say.
It's sleep when you're dead. Yeah, not me, sir. I sleep as much as I possibly can whenever I can. I don't single digits in the AM. If I don't have to see them, I do my best not to on the weekends.
Whatever, Mr. 3 kids. You don't get any sleep.
Dude, my kids are like me. 100%. Oh, yeah, they'll sleep in. Yeah, 4-year-olds don't wake up till 9:30.
Wow, you're lucky.
We're good. We're good. You'll have that someday, Bobby. So let's get into these Red Legs. First off, obviously, 2 weeks ago, nobody would have thought this team was going to be where it's at. Trevor Bauer had one bad outing. Sonny Gray was kind of going through a little bit. I don't know if he was if he was sore or not sore, if he was hurt a little bit or what was going on with him, but he struggled a little bit. The pitching staff, which was supposed to be the best part of this team, obviously the bullpen is what the bullpen is. We're in a whole different world right now, man. These last 2 weeks it's been fun to be a Reds fan.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of what all the players expected at the beginning of the season. They entered the year with playoff or bust expectations, and they kind of stumbled a little bit, fell on their face for the first few weeks. But this is kind of what all of them had in mind. I mean, the offense still isn't clicking the way everyone thought it would. But when they're starting pitchers or pitching like the way they are, and I think the bullpen's been pretty good for the last month. I mean, they had a rough start to the year, but the bullpen, I think, in the last month has been as good as anybody's.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you is the bullpen definitely did improve. The starting pitching, like Chris said, there have been, a few little dings on the radar a couple of times, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. The offense is what's still kind of, I feel like it's still a question mark, but at least, they won 10 of their last 13. What do you attribute most? Is there one thing that changed or one player that maybe came back or something, or is it a couple, 2 or 3, 4 things that improved that kind of turned the corner for them?
I think it's just a lot of guys on offense. Not that they started killing the ball, but they just got a little bit better. Shogo started hitting a little bit. Eugenio Suarez is hitting a lot more homers. Joey Votto's been really good since he got benched last month.
Mm-hmm.
Moustakas is crushing the ball right now too. So I think it's, collectively they're still hitting like under 210 as a team in September. I think under 215 on the whole year. So they don't have a great batting average, but they're getting on base a lot. They're drawing a ton of walks. I think it's the most in the National League. And so they rely a ton on the home run more than any other team. But it works when you have guys that get on base, and when you hit home runs, they're 3-run homers instead of just solo homers.
Yeah, I mean, they got 4 guys right now. I think it was 4, maybe 5 guys with over 10 home runs. And for as getting at what game are we on now? I don't even know. 50,
56.
Yeah, 56 games. So to have that many guys with at least 10 home runs, that's definitely living and dying by the long ball when you're just walking or hitting bombs. It seems like what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think Shogo, I think that was huge just because they were struggling so much to find a leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
The fact that you're able to move Votto down a little bit. Votto is showing more power than he's shown in the past couple of years. And that kind of sets up, Suarez. As long as those guys have guys on base when they come up to the plate, it makes them that much more dangerous. And when the lineup's hitting, and they've been able to score more runs than they did last month. And I think that's been the biggest thing is just getting guys on base, and then you have guys on base when you hit homers.
So, Bobby, just to take a quick break from real questions, I have a question for you. I just want to let you know, first off, that you asked one of my all-time favorite questions in a post-game Reds interview that I've ever heard. Kirk Casale gets hit in the nads 2 games in a row. He's up there for 4, 5, 6 questions. Nobody says a word to him about it. That's all I could think about. Bobby, you came through and asked the tough questions.
I swear it seems like once per series, once every 2 series, he's always getting hit somewhere. I mean, he's taken more abuse than any catcher I've seen.
I don't know if you've ever watched the YouTube video for the Nutty Buddy, the Nutty Buddy. Chris Sabo's in one of them. It's really funny. The guy's a nutcase who invented it and takes 90-mile-an-hour fastballs to his junk when he's got this thing on. And I hope Kirk Casale has one of those because he's definitely taken a number off of that a couple times. Not just, besides the regular foul balls that hit him in the arm and the leg, anything that's doesn't have protection on it, he's been hit there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I remember he said it at some point. It was like he was talking to the training staff and he talked about the top 3 worst places to get hit, and he'd been hit in all 3 places this year.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Oh, man.
All right. Well, I'm getting back to a regular question.
Good. I just had to throw that in there before I forgot about it. I just love – that was my favorite question I've heard all year asked in a post-game interview.
There does seem to be some sort of a theme with that because I saw a video the other day of after the win, I think the infielders got together and Kyle Farmer is checking guys and
trying to cup check everybody.
I don't know what the deal is with those guys. Whatever, as long as they're winning, I don't care.
You can tell they're a looser group now. I mean, just
100%
do that, but you can tell.
Yep, that cracks me up. The best part about the cup check when they all huddled up the other night when they won that game was the fact that after the commercial break was over, they came back to Reds Live and started it with the huddle, and then he's cup checking everybody again. They put that back on TV, cracking up. That was hilarious. Everybody loves a good cup check, man.
There's always one guy. There's always one guy on every team that is that guy.
It was always me back in the day. Always me back in the day.
Chris does it on his softball teams right now. Nobody wears cups.
I'm the only person in the entire park that's got a cup on because I'm not getting hit down there. So I just give everybody, hey, you good? You good? Oh, hey, hoo, ha, hoo, oh. Gotta have a little fun. Keep them loose.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we've got – it seems like there are a million scenarios that could happen over the next 3 days that depend on whether the Reds make the playoffs and where they'll land. I was looking – so it looks like, just the teams around them, the Miami Marlins, the Giants, the Phillies, the Cardinals, and the Brewers are the teams that seem like need to be on the radar the most, right?
Yep.
That they'll be scoreboard watching. It looks like everybody plays a tough opponent, including the Reds, of course, because they have Minnesota. But everybody, Miami has, I think, the Braves tonight, and then they finish with the Yankees this weekend. The Giants play San Diego 4 games. The Phillies have Tampa Bay for 3, and then the Cardinals and Brewers. That's probably the biggest one. Would you say the biggest series that we've got to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I think the Reds are in a good spot because one team has to lose every game.
Exactly.
If one team swept, they would jump the Reds. But other than that, I mean, if they beat up on each other, that's kind of best case scenario for the Reds too.
So that's the best case, is just split the series somehow, right?
Yeah, I think if the Brewers won 3 games and the Cardinals won 2, that would put the Reds in the best spot because they'd be able to jump the Cardinals and they have the tiebreaker over the Brewers.
Right. The big one is the fact that the Cardinals hold the tiebreaker against the Reds, but the Reds hold the tiebreaker against the Brewers. So even though there's a chance for the Reds to get that second spot in the National League Central, is that even trying to think about how this could all play out? I mean, I guess that is still definitely a chance, but the Reds are going to have to win. If they win 2 games, they're in, right? If they win 2 of the next 3, they're in. Are we comfortable with that?
Much. I mean, unless all those other teams that Adam mentioned all swept really good teams. But the pressure on the Reds, but realistically, 2 out of 3 should do it.
Well, the Giants lost today already. The Marlins have been horrible over the last 4 days, 5 days, maybe even further than that. I think they've won like 3 out of their last 11 or something. So they're on a downward slide. I don't know. I think I feel this is as comfortable as I've felt with the Reds in a wild card spot, even if it is the 7 or 8 or whatever that I've felt in a very long time. And the best part about all of this is 3-game series to start. I put our 3 up. I mean, there's against anybody, even against the Dodgers, who probably have just as good a 3-headed monster at the top of their rotation. The Marlins got a 3-headed monster of really young people that nobody's ever heard of at the top of their rotation. But other than that, the Reds have got to be right there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've talked to scouts about it. I mean, that's the Reds are the one team that no one wants to face, just because you saw what happened against the Brewers. I mean, the Brewers won a game, but look how hard they had to fight to get that win. And it's just facing Trevor Bauer, facing Luis Castillo, facing Sonny Gray. If your season's on the line, I mean, that you don't want to face any of those guys, let alone all 3.
No, that was huge too. Seeing how well Sonny Gray pitched in his first game back after missing a couple starts, I thought that was really big. And if he can go, that's what I was going to ask you too. Is so this weekend series, are they going to skip Sonny Gray? I don't think they've announced the 2nd and 3rd game starters. We know Malley's pitching Friday night, right?
It'll be Castillo on Saturday and then Bauer on short rest on Sunday, unless the game Sunday, say they clinched by Saturday, then Bauer will just get pushed back to the playoffs.
That would be –
he'll start Sunday.
How many days off – I haven't seen that. How many days will they have between the final game of the season and the first game of the playoffs?
So Wednesday would be the first day. Wednesday be game 1, Thursday game 2, Friday game 3.
So they'll be able to stay. They'll have a completely fresh, all fresh arms. They'll be able to throw those top 3 guys out no matter what.
Yeah, the only problem would be Bauer would be on short rest again. He's basically on short rest the rest of the year if he has Sunday.
Yeah, and that was a big thing to see him on short rest the other day pitch as effective as he did. I think that was the one thing where, as a Reds fan, you're thinking, well, here we go. Bauer's been our Cy Young guy for the whole year. This is the real test. You know what I mean? And to see him walk off the 8th inning in his Conor McGregor walk is one of my favorite things in the entire world. I know Adam hates it more than anything. I would be staring into that Brewers dugout, swag walking all the way as far as I could. I love it. But anyway, to see that is a lot of fun, and it's nothing but excitement in Cincinnati right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you trade for a guy like Trevor Bauer. I mean, he struggled last year, but when they made that trade, this is kind of what they were hoping for. I mean, I don't think they expected him to win Cy Young, but to be this good, to be this reliable, and Bauer's always wanted to pitch on short rest anyway. He wants to do it for a whole season, not just at the end of a season. So it was big for him to prove it to teams with the agency to say, you know what, I can do it.
So 2 things when it comes to Bauer. The first thing is the Reds get beat up a lot for either lack of trades or some of the trades that they have made have been kind of rough. But but then they also have made a lot of really good trades as well.
Yeah, I think most of it comes back to the rebuild. You lost Jay Bruce and Aroldis Chapman and some of those Todd Frazier, some of those big names, and you didn't get much out of it. But all the other trades have been pretty decent if you look at it the other way.
Right. I was listening to the radio today, and Mo Egger was talking. If you look at this, if you look at how we got Bauer, we basically got rid of someone we were probably going to cut and just pay off his salary in 2019 in Homer Bailey. We got Puig and Kemp and that whole deal, and basically traded Puig out, and we did lose Trammell as well, and we got Bauer back. So it was almost like we got Bauer for Bailey. If you I like to think of it that way, and you couldn't have got a better upgrade than that.
He still lost a couple good prospects in that Dodgers trade that maybe that'll hurt going forward. But I mean, if you're the Reds, they got so sick of rebuilding, it was almost like
this was it. They needed it
at some point. You can't wait on prospects forever.
They needed this. They needed that move. They needed it. It worked, and I love it. Now, the second thing on Bauer is Bauer wants to sign 1-year deals for the rest of his career. He's talked about it forever. He's no longer he's no longer restricted, right? This is his first year as unrestricted. So that being said, do the Reds have a chance at keeping him around, or is Bauer, I mean, he's going to go to the highest bidder. Is there a chance that the Reds could talk him into staying here, maybe not as the highest bidder, but as giving him fair money?
I mean, I don't necessarily think he'll go just to the highest bidder just because he gets paid the most. I do think if he's allowed to start on 4 days rest, something he wants to do, if a team says, we'll give you the chance to do that, I think that could play into it. He said he wants to play for a contender. He wants to play for a team that's forward thinking. Obviously, he feels comfortable in Cincinnati. You can tell his teammates have embraced him. The coaching staff's embraced him. So, I mean, the Reds have as good a shot as any team as far as if they offer as much money as he's going to ask for. The problem is yesterday's start. I mean, I don't see how that anyway lowered the price. I mean, I think you're looking at if it's a 1-year deal, and I'm not totally sold that he will sign a 1-year deal. I mean, I think
really
multi-year deals too. It's hard to turn down guaranteed money for if it's put in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Reds have a chance, but it's up to the Reds if they want to spend that much money. And obviously he's shown he's worth it if he's going to win the Cy Young.
At this point in time, is he the front runner in the National League? He leads the league in ERA, strikeouts, walks and hits, innings pitched, and what else? Batting average against. Is that he's up there in wins? Where is he at? He's only 2 back in wins, but it's a short season. Is he a lock, or is he or are we? Is there somebody else out there that everybody's looking at?
He's definitely the front runner. I don't know if he's a lock just yet. I mean, Jacob deGrom has to be pretty close. Max Fried from Atlanta's had a really good year. I think he's 9-0, and the team's 9-1 in his starts. So I mean, I think those do matter. But the fact that, I mean, you look at it, it's kind of a narrative thing. I mean, it's such a short season, so narratives are going to work for players. And the fact that you look at him coming back on short rest, and it was good enough to put the Reds in the postseason if they do make the playoffs, especially if he has to start Sunday and he's as good as he was in his last start. I think that would easily push him over the top.
I totally agree. I think he's a front runner, and I know DeGrom's been as good as he has in the past. But once again, man, at some point in time, how good your team is. I know that you're just one man on a 40-man roster, but man, when your team is consistently as bad as the Mets have been, DeGrom's got to lose a Cy Young sometime. I know the guy's unbelievable, but
that's where, like, when I have an MVP vote, I do weigh how the team does, but I almost view Cy Young as just best pitcher, no matter how, like, even if you're on a bad team, dominate all season. And usually we have more numbers to go on than just 10, 11 starts, but a full season, I think if you dominate a whole season, even if you're on a bad team, you deserve it.
I agree. So going back to the lineup, we kind of talked a little bit about it, but say the Reds make the playoffs. Now, David Bell still tinkers a little bit each day, it seems like, with the lineup, and, a bunch of different guys have gotten starts. is there going to be kind of a set lineup no matter who, or is he still going to play around with matchups, lefty and righty? Is it possible that he could have Aquino bat leadoff in the playoffs, or do you think Shogo will kind of take over that no matter, even if there's a left-handed pitcher?
No, I still think he'll do lefty-righty matchups. I mean, Aquino, he's right-handed. Shogo's left-handed, so it kind of fits that way. Shogo hasn't hit great against left-handed pitching. So yeah, I think he's still going to stick with lefty-righty matchups, and you're going to see some guys that'll determine probably when Barnhart and Casale start too. There's some other platoons in the outfield, the center fielders, Senzel and Brian Goodwin. That'll probably determine that if it's a lefty or righty on the mound. I mean, it's just something every team does. I don't think any team anymore sticks with just straight 8 guys and it doesn't matter lefty righty. I mean, the Dodgers, that's what makes them so good, is they have so many good guys against left-handed pitching and so many guys that are great against right-handed pitching that no matter what, they always have an advantage, it seems like.
Yeah.
Hey, how's the food this year in the press room? You guys even allowed having food anymore? I know that was always a big thing. Everybody talked about the food in the press room.
Yeah, there was boxed dinners, I guess, like a boxed lunch type thing. I never had it once, but they had it available, but it's not the same. Like usually in the past, it's you buy kind of like a buffet style, not a buffet style, but a la carte type dinner, but they didn't have that this year.
That's a bummer. That's a bummer. Is when you're missing out on the Montgomery Inn and all that good stuff. It's all right, buddy. We'll get you back next year. Everything will be back to normal. Well, no, I guess I better be careful. Speaking of not being back to normal, speaking of that, the bubble. We're playing in a bubble in the playoffs, or not the first round, but starting in the second round. Is that correct? So after the wild card games are over, wild card round is over. In the beginning of the year, you came on this podcast and we talked about the rule changes. Obviously, this has been crazy with Corona and the amount of teams not getting all their games in, and it's just coming down to decimal points on win-loss records. You told me that eventually I would be okay, and I think that you thought that we would all really like the runner on second base in extra innings. I just want you to know I still think that's the silliest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
The Reds didn't really have any money. Like it was like training games this year. You didn't really get a chance to see it.
That's true. That is true. The other one though is the pitchers with having to face 3 batters. Are we pretty sure that's not coming back next year?
I'm not sure. I mean, that's something Rob Manfred implemented. It's designed to do pace of play, which I get it. I mean, no one wants to see 4 pitching changes in 1 inning, but I don't know if the game was any faster this year just because of that rule. I mean, there's strategy behind it. I think it made it interesting to see which relievers you had to go to because they had to stay in there for a bit. But I don't know if it's something they'll stick with or not, because it really hasn't changed the original intention of helping pace of play.
I never did like that. I think that's the silliest rule as well. One thing I have a question about that though, because I haven't really noticed and I haven't paid attention. If you bring a guy in to face, you got 2 outs, bring a guy in, he gets an out to end the inning. He has to face the first 2 batters of the next inning, or
No.
This is the pace of play thing. The inning was over anyway. The pace of play thing's gone. You can bring somebody else in to start the next inning, right?
Yeah, it's 3 batters unless it's the end of an inning.
Perfect. All right. The playoffs are coming up. I want to make sure I've got all my new baseball rules down in my head here. Now, runners on second when nobody was even up to bat.
Well, that one won't be in the playoffs. Like
really?
Extra innings from now on. Or I mean, once the regular season's over.
Right. Oh, the runner on second or the pitching to 3 batters?
3 batters will be a part of the playoffs, but
Okay.
runner on second will not be in no 7-inning games in the playoffs.
I kind of actually, as a Reds fan, the 7-inning games might have been the best thing to ever happen.
I think it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Like I could see that working in the future. I mean, it seems more intense. You get to like the 5th inning and it's like your heart's beating and it's only the 5th inning. So I liked it more than I thought I would.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a guy who a fan that comes on the podcast every now and then, and he is also a lawyer, and all of a sudden decided he was going to take us to court on why the 7 innings is the best thing that could ever happen in baseball. And I think I won the argument, but I don't know. I could have been wrong.
I could see it working if you really wanted to draw in young fans, if you really wanted to fix pace of play. Like, it fixes a lot of problems. You trust your starting pitchers again
Mm-hmm.
to pitch most of the game. So I think it works in some ways.
I don't know.
Yeah, if you have to play a bunch of double headers, of course, you know.
Well, yeah,
You can't play 9-inning games and play 3 double headers in a week or something like that. That's way too much. Okay, there was one more thing I was gonna. Now it escaped me.
that's all right. I tend to bring
I
things
did that
off the
last time too, I think.
I bring things off the rails, and I apologize. I got another question about the bubble, though. So is this going to be like the way that the NBA is doing the bubble, where these guys will be staying in hotels, basically almost either right on site or, if not connected to, right next to the stadiums, and they're going to be basically on lockdown in those sites, or is it or are they just trying to get these guys around each other, but still have the availability of nightlife and everything else, like the stuff that happened with Cleveland in Cleveland and all that stuff? How is the bubble atmosphere going to be in the playoffs?
It's not the same as like the NBA or NHL, because like NBA, you were just at Disney.
Right.
That's where all the players were. They didn't travel. Well, you're going to have to travel a little bit in the postseason. Like, the Reds will have to, say they make the playoffs, they have to go to LA or Atlanta or Chicago, whoever they're going to play in the first round. And then they go to Texas, where they go.
That's more the one I'm looking at, that second round. When that second round gets here, how's that going to look?
Yeah, well, they're already in their bubble. So the Reds can't leave their hotel and say they even played at home. So like the Giants, they're at home right now. They had to all check into a hotel. So even though they're playing home games, they have to be in a hotel from now until they're eliminated.
Gotcha.
It'll be like that in the AL teams will be in San Diego, NL teams will be in Texas, and that'll be the same thing. They're stuck in their hotels.
And then they're just going to be picked up by a bus and brought in from there. Okay. So that I was wondering how, because it had to be different from having a giant sports park, basically, like they have in Disney, where you're able to do something like that, compared to how they're going to do it there. So it's good to hear. I just don't want the worst thing that could possibly happen now is have playoff games canceled and push this thing out because of it. I don't want it. I hope it doesn't happen. Let's pray that these people stay in a bubble and stay good. Are they going to have family in the bubble?
Yeah, I think some teams are. I mean, I think the teams have to pay for it if they're going to allow family. But I saw the Dodgers, like, they're everyone's allowed to bring their family with them. I'm sure some teams that, maybe they're not, and they're just going to be super strict about it. Because if you do have positive tests, I mean, there's no off days in each playoff series. So if there's games canceled, I mean, you're just forfeiting. It's not like regular season where you're looking at postponements. If you have positive tests, those guys are just out, period.
Are they going to be able to do kind of like the Reds did, where I knew they did cancel a game or two, but where if you get the positive tests and get those guys in quarantine and get everybody else through another round of testing negative, will they be allowed to play still, or is that going to be that game just because of that one the one positive test going to be canceled?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they do that. I mean, I'm sure they want to be safe, but they also don't want to lose the postseason. But I think it would just be like the one player, he'd be ineligible to play, would kind of be kicked out of the bubble a little bit, and you kind of lose him for the playoffs, and then play one man down, or you'd fill the roster spot.
Are you going to be in the bubble? Are they letting any media at these at the playoff games?
I'll be at the games, but I'm not in the bubble. Like, I've never, even this entire season.
You're not seeing anybody, so.
Yeah, I've been at home games, but I'm just in the press box. It's not like we're allowed on the field or in the clubhouse. So I'm not around players to be in the bubble, but I'll be traveling to go to the playoff games.
Yeah, they're talking about letting they want to have 4,000 fans or so at some of these games once they get to the single site for ALNL, Texas and San Diego. Is this how? If I decide I want to drive out to Texas, do I got a chance at a ticket at this? I'm ready to go.
Depends how much money you're going to shell out.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But I would think, like, with high school football going on, especially like in Texas, I'm sure they have crowds. It's easier to do it in those states, in those environments. I was kind of surprised baseball didn't bring fans in when college football started.
Yeah. Yeah, the Reds wanted to. I know the Reds were trying to get it by the end of the season, and they really wanted to get some fans in by that last home series. Obviously, that's over now, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. What else you got, Adam?
That was you guys did actually answer my question that I was trying to think about earlier. I just wanted to understand more about the bubble, but that's exactly what I was looking for. So, all right, I guess I'm already anticipating who and I shouldn't be putting the cart before the horse here, but I'm already looking at matchups in the playoffs. I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't love a matchup against LA or Atlanta, but you never know. Like you guys were talking about to start this thing, it's with the three guys that you go, if you can keep it to three starters and have those guys go on short rest or whatever and still be okay. I mean, even if the offense struggles a little bit, it's still, I mean, you're going to get games if you get games out of Bauer, like he's been throwing, and if Sonny Gray and Castillo's been as good as either one of those guys for the last month, I mean, they can match up with anybody as long as they can string together some hits and stop leaving guys on base so often, ending innings with guys on base and stuff. I don't know. I'm getting all excited about the playoffs, and they still have to beat the Twins, and that's a tall task.
I mean, if you're going to line up against the Dodgers, you'd much rather do it in a 3-game series than a 7-game series.
100%.
Yep, absolutely.
Couldn't agree more. I love this. So when the Reds win their first playoff series against the Dodgers, you'll have a day or two off in between that, correct? 2 days?
The last say they would play game 3 on Friday. The game 1 of the next series wouldn't be till Tuesday.
There you go. All right. So when they win their next series, you up for another podcast? We can talk about the upcoming series after that.
Yeah, just go round by round.
Let's do it. I'm totally down for that. I'm down for that.
And you'll be in an earlier time zone too, so you won't have to come on here at 10:30 at night. It'll be like 9:30 or whatever, wherever they are.
Maybe get some sleep, like Chris has been talking about.
That's right. Yeah. Good luck to you, bud. I hope you're able to get some. I hope you're able to get some sleep. And speaking of getting some sleep, I don't want to keep you too much longer. We've already had you for quite a bit of time. You've always been generous with your time, Bobby. Once again, Bobby Nightengale, I almost said ESPN, Cincinnati Enquirer, beat writer for the Reds, USA Today. Bobby, if people want to get on to Twitter or to follow you and see all the fun stuff that you've got in all your articles, where do they got to go?
Yeah, Nightengale, so my last name, and then JR at the end. That's for Twitter, and then Cincinnati.com for all the stories and videos and podcasts and everything else on there.
And I don't know if they're done. Oh, and that's the other thing. You got a podcast going now.
Yeah, me and John Fay just recorded one this 1 o'clock this afternoon, so not too long ago.
Oh, there you go.
So it's gonna be up by the time I get up tomorrow.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Nice. Well, hopefully this one's up by Thursday morning as well, and Bobby will have a double podcast. Now, I don't know if we'll ever get the viewership that the pros get over there at Cincinnati Enquirer, but we'll do our best to get the Twitter out there and get people reading some of your articles, because Bobby's a great follow. He has always got all the information on Twitter. Best guy to get a hold of. Best guy to follow out there. I mean, Faye's good, but let's be honest. The young guy. It's the young guy that gets everything, gets all the good stuff.
The elder guys.
Yeah, you know how we are with the elder boys. I always got to rep them a little bit. But anybody that's going to ask Kirk Casale, how his balls are feeling after getting hit in the nads two weeks in a row, that's my guy.
It's an important question sometimes.
Exactly right, man. Yeah, it's exactly right. All right, Bobby, we appreciate it as always, man. And well, we're going to take you up on that once they beat the Dodgers in the first round. We'll see if we can get you back on here.
You guys called it first. I'll remember it.
There you go, brother. Oh yeah. So what do you got? Reds in 2 or Reds in 3?
Ooh, I'll say 3. Two's getting a little cocky.
Who's getting a little cocky? Adam?
Yeah, I got to say 3 too.
Sweep, baby. I'm going sweep. We're going to have Bauer's not going to pitch in the first round. Bauer won't even pitch in the first round. It'll be Gray, Castillo, boom, boom, done, sit down, good night. Let's go on to whoever's after that.
Wow, that's a bold call.
Hey, you know what? Somebody's got to make it. I'll be the one that's right on this podcast. I'll take it.
Hope you make some good money in the process too.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I wouldn't put my money where I'm out at, but no. Once again, Bobby, seriously, thanks a lot, man. Go get some sleep.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bobby.
Bobby Nightengale, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you that guy's always fun.
He's the best. He's the best. Yeah, and if you are, speaking of that, if you are listening to this or watching this on YouTube and you haven't checked it out yet, the Reds Beat podcast, it's excellent. Bobby and John Fay are so good. They're, the best when it comes to covering the Reds. And they're incredibly knowledgeable, not just about the Reds, but about baseball and what's going on, especially in this crazy year when there's all those different, all the different rule changes, the bubble stuff. I mean, he knows he has never struggled with a question we've ever asked him about anything, including this year, when you should. I mean, you all almost should struggle because there's so much different stuff going on.
Yep.
It's all kinds of weird stuff, and but he's got it all up here in his noggin, and
he asks all the right questions and gets all the good stuff, and he even asks a couple silly questions. I can't tell you how much I love the fact that he asked him about that. He got hit in the nads 2 games in a row. He's like, dude, how you feeling, man? You all right? I'm pretty sure it was Kirk Casale that actually used the word nuts. Said he got hit in the nuts. I'm tired of getting hit in the nuts or something like that. Oh my God, crack me up.
We got to get him to ask a question like that after every game to try to get one of the players to say something embarrassing.
Yes. Oh man. I'd be kicked out of the media room if I was asking questions. They just manually mute me on the Zoom call that they all do afterwards. No good. It would be bad news. Bad news for sure.
That is funny. All right. Yep. So we thank Bobby, and I'm sure you're the same as me, man. This last week or so, I have been like, if I haven't been able to be in front of a TV, I've had my phone up. I'm trying not to get in trouble with the lady, being on my phone when she's talking or something to me. Like I'm trying to make sure but I'll. We'll have dinner. We'll be sitting down for dinner, and I'll turn it on. I can, turn the game on my phone and just put it on mute and just kind of put it next to me. And, she kind of
knows. You have no idea what she's talking about.
Huh?
No idea.
She'll kind of notice, like, oh, what you got? You got the game on over there? Like, just have it, so I can just check once in a while. But I'm listening to you for sure.
Terrible.
Look,
listen,
every game for the last week has been the most important game in the Reds franchise since 2013, probably the last time.
7 years. Yeah, it's been 7 years. So once you get older in your relationship and, you grow up a little bit and get married and things like that happen, you just turn the Reds game on the big TV while you're eating dinner and completely ignore everyone at the dinner table while you watch the game. Let them talk about whatever they want. It's daddy time.
I can't wait to get there. Can't wait.
By the way,
I'm still sneaking a little bit.
By the way, that doesn't happen in my house. I do get to turn it on in the background, but it's usually the TV that's behind me, so I don't even get to see it, so it doesn't matter.
You got to wait for a lull in the conversation and get a quick turnaround.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly right. Oh, Lordy. So the Reds are looking good. We are getting closer and closer to seeing who is going to have to do a 2-minute comedy sketch. I meant to ask Bobby if he was up for any kind of wanted to be in on the Zoom call when one of us had to do the comedy sketch, just to, have somebody else on there.
That's even worse, though.
Yes.
That's even tougher. A bigger audience.
Yep.
Oof.
I hear you. So before we get to our comedy sketch,
yes,
there is one more thing that we want to go over, and that is our football picks of the week. We did not do any picks in week 1. Week 2 is coming, was just happened. We all picked, me and Adam picked 3 games against the spread. The spread, which is on ESPN's app the day that we record, which today we're recording on Thursday instead of Wednesday. So, Adam, how did we do last week?
We both went 1-2.
Woo! I got the Bengals game.
You got the Bengals game, and I got Green Bay. I got Green Bay beating Detroit. So, we started out 1-2. Overall, not great, I guess, but I'm fine with going 1-2 if you went 1-2 as well. Mm-hmm. So basically, we're starting out going into week 3, 0-0 still.
There we go. So, how do I get out of here? What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Have we decided what we're going to make this year's bet?
I haven't come up with anything good yet. I don't know if you have any ideas. It can't be adding on, because we could just go on forever adding on minutes to our comedy sketch or our comedy.
No way. When they come out and announce all of the MVPs and everything, that's it. That is the week we are doing it. There is you are not spreading it out to the end of the NFL season and adding more time on. It's not happening. It's not happening.
I'm with you. We can't, because if I lose, I need to get it over with. I can't let it just linger. I've got to do it as soon as possible. Yep. I'm going to have time to write some stuff, some jokes. But I can't let it linger. I got to do it as soon as I can if I lose.
I hear you. I'm with you there, brother. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this week, because we've already missed one game because the Miami Dolphins are playing Jacksonville Jaguars right now. We're in the fourth quarter. Miami is about to be 3-0. The dog dirt of football for the last few years with the Bengals and the Browns, the Miami Dolphins, who have been terrible, are about to start the season 3-0. They're up 28-13 with 5 minutes to go in the game. So, outside of that, what do you got, buddy? What are your first 3 picks for this NFL season?
So I am, you know how much worse at this I am than you are, because I totally forgot about these picks.
I forgot. And, I just said that the Dolphins were 3-0. They're 0-2.
Okay, I didn't want to. I was looking at it. I was like, yeah, that's okay.
About to win their first game. I don't know what I was talking about. For some reason I thought I don't know what else. Somebody started out 2-0 that surprised the hell out of me, and I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Las Vegas that I was thinking about that started out 2-0 that surprised me. Anyway, all right, go ahead.
All right. So I think my first game, I'm going to go with – oh, boy. I think I'm going to go – no, that one's a bad one too.
Pull a little Chris Witt here, huh?
I'm pulling a little Chris Witt here, but that's what I meant when I said you're a lot better at doing this than I am. So okay, I think I'm going to take the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers. They've got the Texans in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is favored by 4 points here. The Texans have started off 0-2, and the Steelers have started off 2-0.
The Texans have started off 0-2, and everybody's acting like they're dead in the water. They've played the 2 best football teams in the NFL the first 2 weeks. They've played the Chiefs and the Ravens. Just because they're 0-2 does not mean they're a bad team. I'm glad you took Pittsburgh, because we're going head-to-head on that one. I'm taking Houston +4.
Okay. All right, so I'll take Pittsburgh in that one. My second one, I will take. Oh man, you know what? I'm going to take 11.5 as a big spread, and no matter how bad they are, I think I'm going to take the New York Football Jets to cover that 11.5 against the Indianapolis Horse Colts.
That's a pretty big number. I don't. We'll see how that goes. Good luck with that. We are now. We'll say that I believe 15 of the 16 games last week were all decided and all won by the favorite. That, my friend, is that is something different.
That's odd, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely odd. So,
all right.
What is Adam Schmidt's last game in the Nosebleeds Sports Podcast Pick'em NFL Pick'em race?
Oh man, Chiefs Ravens this week on Monday Night Football. That's going to be good. I'm not touching that one, but I am going to touch. I'm going to take the.
Touch me.
I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. So they have Detroit coming in to Arizona, and Arizona is favored at home by 5.5. And I'm going to take Arizona to win by a touchdown or more.
Man. Okay. All right. Well, Adam, I've already given you my first pick. My first pick is Houston Texans +4. I'm also going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs +3.5. It's time for them to show who they are. It's probably the two best football teams in the NFL right now. And you know what? New England is favored against this Raiders team. And I've always liked Derek Carr. I've always liked John Gruden. Cam Newton is playing a different type of football than he's played just last year, I guess, last year or two since he's been hurt. Bill Belichick is showing that it might have been more Bill Belichick than it was Tom Brady in New England for all these years, or at least the last couple years. So that makes me decide that I'm not going to take that game. I'm going to decide to take neither of those teams after I just talked myself out of it. And I'm going to go ahead and take the Tennessee Titans laying 2.5 in Minnesota. Those are my three.
Okay, you're taking Tennessee in that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there you go. That, my friends, is how we do it. Also, to finish out the podcast, as always, is our comedy segment. And I tell you, Adam, we got a Brit on the comedy segment this week. If you listened last week and you joined in and watched Michael McIntyre, what was the special called? Do you remember?
It was called, I'm sorry, it was called, good question. I didn't have that written down, and I watched the whole thing, and I still don't have it.
That's all right. We can have an idea here. Is Michael McIntyre. Anyway, go on Netflix. It's his newest special. It's called Showman. Adam, I got to tell you, buddy, I thought it was pretty good. He's definitely the storyteller comedian. He does a phenomenal job. I really liked his delivery. I don't know if it's just because he was English, but the stuff with the car and started with the internet, kids not having any idea about the internet, what life was like without the internet. The www thing was starting to get annoying, but then he moved it into cars and how kids have never had to roll up a window. They'll say roll the window up, but they've never rolled a window up. They just press a button. I love that. That was hilarious. He was talking about shagging your seat forward because English people say use different words than we do. So instead of humping his seat forward, I guess he was shagging his seat forward by using the lever. The dude made me laugh. I'm going with a 3.7 today.
3.7. 0.7. My. All right. So this was my pick last week, and it was only my pick because I had forgotten that it was my turn to pick, and I had to come up with something right on the spot. And then I was telling you earlier today when we were talking, as soon as we got done recording last week, I got on the internet and found two comedians that I really like that just came out with specials. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't believe I didn't realize that until just now. So I almost called you and asked you to switch, but I was like, nope, we told the people, if you're listening to this, we tell you what we're going to watch. So because we want you to watch these things with us. We want you to. And we want your feedback. Hit us up on Facebook, Nosebleed Sports Podcast on Facebook. We're both on Twitter at Adam Schmidt 44. You're at Sick With It. We want you to respond to these things. I mean, we want to talk to you about them. If you're listening to this podcast, watch these specials. Tell us what you think about them. Give us your rating from either 1 to 5 if you use Chris's scale, or 0 to 5 if you use mine. And tell us what you think. So this one was my pick. I knew nothing about this guy. I've never seen him before in my life. I think he's a good comedian.
Yeah.
I think his jokes were pretty good. There was something about him. I thought he was a little too cartoonish. I feel like that word kept coming up to me as I was watching it, especially to start. And it may have been by design, or maybe he's always like this, even off stage. I don't know. But it was like he had to act out with his hands and his body everything he was saying, and he had to like exaggerate it.
Yeah.
So he did that, I felt like, with his voice and with his hands, and it was a little bit too much for me. His energy was super duper high, which can be fine, but it was like that, especially from the beginning and to finish. And it was like, man, just do the jokes, because it was almost distracting for me, I feel like.
Really?
And the way, he used his voice, I don't know, just the way he used his voice and his hands, and he was just like super flamboyant. And I was like, I feel like I was almost trying to like ignore that after a while, because I'm like, I need to listen to his jokes, like just hear the words, and I like the guys that just stand up there and have really funny things to say. There are people who are good at, doing the physical part. And Brian Regan is amazing at that. He's a guy that's kind of like that I think is probably does it better than anybody else. But most of my other favorite comedians are just people who go up there. Even guys, Dave Attell is one of my favorite all time. He actually sits down a lot of times when he's doing his sets. So I do like that. I feel like it was just distracting to me for some reason. So anyway, I'm going to go with a 2.8. I'm going with a 2.8 here.
That's really not that far off of what mine is. You went.
We're talking about scales.
You went, yeah, going by the way we do our scales, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
So if you like guys that just stand there and say what they have to say, like you said, then you're going to enjoy my pick this week.
I'm excited. Let's hear it.
This guy is one of my favorite comedians out there, and he's got a special now on YouTube. Big J Okerson is live at Webster Hall, full special on YouTube. Check it out. It just came out like a week ago. I'm telling you right now, you will not – I haven't seen it yet, so I shouldn't say that. But this dude has never disappointed me. Every time I've seen this dude, even in little 5-minute clips, 15-minute deals, he's got a couple other full specials. He's on a lot of the Netflix
the stand-up
comedy shows that have like 5 or 6 people on it, and they all do 15 minutes. He's on a few of those. The dude is phenomenal.
Yes.
I love this guy. He's hilarious, and I'm super excited about it. Big J Okerson live at Webster Hall.
I am so excited that you're picking this because this was the first one when we got off recording last week. This is the first one I saw. I'm like, oh my gosh, Big J's got a special. I didn't know that. And then so I'm really excited that you picked that one. So yeah, he's a dirty comic, and the one that I
Very
have for
dirty.
next week already is another guy that gets pretty dirty too. So
Yes.
we're about to watch some really good comedy. I like you said, we haven't seen it yet, but I've seen this guy plenty of times, and I do think he's good. So I'm gonna, even though we say we're supposed to go into these things with no expectations at all and to be as objective as possible, it's impossible to do that. So I already know he's good. I think that means I'm gonna enjoy it even more.
I hope it does, because I've gone into a few of these thinking that I was going to love them, and I've hated them after I think it's somebody that I love and they're really funny, and I've gone in and they just sucked. So I think we'll be good, though. I feel really good about this.
I'm with you. All right, let's do it.
All right. So Big J Okerson, next week we will have more NBA, because the NBA will then be in the finals.
Yes,
So we are going to be one series closer to finding out how much time, if any, either of us will get to add or subtract from our 2-minute stand-up special. That being said, what did we each pick in this series? Because right now both series are tied 2-1. I just said tied 2-1. That's the kind of night I'm having. I said Miami Dolphins were 2-0. I said that both series are tied 2-1, which is the silliest thing anybody could possibly say.
Well, and after Tyler Hero became the greatest player of all time last night, Miami's up 3-1 now.
Can I ask you this? Is there a better corner 3-point shooter in the NBA right now than Tyler Hero? All playoffs long, I feel like he's hit 43s from the corner, and they just leave him wide open over there.
This is a kid that is also, he's obviously the best part of his game is shooting. He's instantly, this is his rookie year. He's instantly one of the best shooters in the league, probably. And that's the biggest part of what he does. But this guy can get into the lane with the dribble. He's not Kyrie Irving. He's not, he's not a guy, he's not Kemba Walker. He's not going to go out there and get his own shot from going between his legs and around his back and going by you. Mm-hmm. But he's going to use screens. He's going to come off screens and do them very well. And he can use the dribble. He can get into the lane. He's got the step back. And he's not just shooting these 45-foot step back threes that everybody wants to shoot now. He's getting into the lane and stepping back into an 18-footer and shooting, really good mid-range shots that he practices all summer. So he can actually score a little bit, not just shoot. So that's another kind of exciting thing about watching this kid. And it was fun. It's so fun because Jimmy Butler loves the kid, and that's like his vet. And Jimmy Butler showed up. I don't know if you saw this, but he showed up at practice today in Tyler Hero's high school jersey.
Are you kidding me?
That was really cool.
Awesome.
Really cool.
That whole team has been fun to watch. I'm excited. I hope it's them versus LA in the finals. And I'll tell you, another guy that's fun to watch on this team who doesn't always put up super big numbers, but he's had a couple big games. But Duncan Robinson just seems to be all over the court and involved in every big play that happens throughout the game for this Miami Heat team.
How about that young class that they have with those two guys and Kendrick Nunn, who was the best rookie, on that team was the best rookie all season long, because he finished second or third, I think, in Rookie of the Year voting. So those three guys, plus your Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic. I mean, they've really got a team there. They're getting that production. I think that might be the difference in what makes them so good, is they're getting that kind of production out of guys that are 1 or 2 years into this league. Yep. And that's when you get that, they're unpredictable then, because it's harder to scout against teams like that you don't have a big history on some of these guys. So anyway, yep, Miami.
We weren't going to get into a bunch of NBA, so I apologize for bringing us in after it. But it's interesting to see what's going to happen. We'll be back when we come back next week. Hopefully, there's only been one game of the finals. They may be playing the second game on Wednesday next week. I don't know exactly how they've got it all scheduled to start, but this series. Well, I guess the earliest it could go out. Are they playing right now? They're playing right now.
Right now, yeah. It's 5-point game with a minute left.
5-point game. LA's up by 5 with a minute left. If that goes 3-1, then obviously this could be over by the weekend. So
no, Denver pushes every series to 7 games, so guaranteed 7. Denver's guaranteed 7.
Did I pick? I picked both of these teams in 5.
So you picked Miami in 6 and the Lakers in 5.
Oh, I'm gonna screw. I should have went with my gut and went 5-5. I knew that I should have went 5-5. It's all right.
Those games have been good though. The Eastern Conference games have been good, and it's very possible the Celtics can win the next game and push it to a 6th game. And then same here. I mean, it's still possible. Denver is just, every time I think there's just no way they have to run out of gas now. They just don't. And even though they have a good supporting cast, but Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic are so ball dominant in that offense. You think there's just going to be a way to stop those guys, right? Especially because Jokic doesn't look like he can even move well. They both have been incredible every game this series so far, and last series and the series before. They continue to surprise and impress, and it shouldn't be a surprise anymore. But we'll see what happens. Like you said, we'll be back next week. And I do blame this on you, because you should know that if you bring the NBA up to me, I won't shut my big mouth.
That's exactly right. And we want to get this off so we can try to get this thing up and at them, so we can, because anytime we have Bobby Nightengale on, especially in a playoff run like this, we want this thing out there. So like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff on all the different podcast platforms that we're on. Next week, NBA, more playoff Reds talk, hopefully. And Big J Okerson live at, I don't know, Wembley Hall or something. So
I think
check
that's
it out.
where
It's
Michael
on YouTube.
McIntyre
Don't forget, that one's on YouTube. Full special is on YouTube. It's a week old. You can't miss it. He's hilarious, and he looks kind of. It doesn't matter. Just definitely watch it and comment to us. Like Adam said, hit us up with some tweets. Let us know what you think, and we will be back next week. Till then, don't forget to turn your headlights on.